really excited to be up here on stage. I've been fortunate enough to be part of the Alexa team since the beginning. And across 3 years, it's been crazy. I'd be up on a stage like this, and I'd say, how many people here have an Amazon Echo? So how many people here have an Amazon Echo? Awesome. How many people here last night or this morning called out to Alexa in their hotel room? I bring a dot with me because I do that. And that's one of the things with Alexa for Business is I remember, back in 2015 at AWS reInvent, I did a hackathon. And it was early days of the tools. And I had this person come up to me and he said, Dave, I've been in DevOps. I haven't written code for 20 years. And I just wrote an Alexa skill to ask how my EC2 instances were doing. And I'm like, this is going to be really, really significant in the workplace as much as it's been in the home. Have any of you brought Echoes into work or doing anything at your company today? OK, a couple people. So what I thought would be good, when Collin and I were thinking about how do we introduce this to all of you, because conversation is very different than voice translation that we've all been used to in mobile. What I have found over the past couple of years is there's a couple of core concepts I want to talk to all of you about so we can be on the same page. And then Collin's going to come out and talk specifically about what you can start doing with Alexa for your business. Does that sound good? OK. So how many people remember some of these devices, right? You don't have to raise your hand. I was using Commodore Amiga like in 1987 doing text-to-speech, and I thought I was living in the future, right? It was like Star Trek was out, Scotty was talking to computers, and I was waiting for the ability just to talk to computers. And over the years, that hasn't really happened, and we've always wanted to be at this. As human beings, we have history. We have context. We all have personality types. We don't all receive information the same way or communicate information the same way. And what we've done is we've created a system because computing hadn't caught up to be able to have conversations with us naturally. And so we've created, it's almost like digital print is what we've had in the past 30 years, right? We've created all of these on-ramps for our customers and for people to use, the on-ramp of click OK, hit this drop-down box, move a tab, hit a button to start whatever, right? And we don't want that as human beings. It's the idea of ambient computing. It's the idea at any time I could just say, Alexa, start my meeting. Alexa, how are my sales figures doing? Or Alexa, I forgot to shut off the projector in the conference room. Go shut that off for me. Right? It's very natural. It's very spontaneous. And all of this is happening because of the advancements that we've seen in what's called NLU, or natural language understanding. And that's the difference. It's understanding context. Now, I know a lot of you have used an Echo in the past. You probably don't remember how you specifically asked for things. In fact, when I ask for music, I'll ask for it by lyrics, because I often forget the actual title of the song. Some of these songs are from 30 years ago, and I want to listen to them. And so it's very, very powerful. It's natural. It's spontaneous. And at Amazon, we believe this represents the next major disruption in computing. The way to think about this is an interface. You don't have to use an Echo. Alexa will run on all sorts of devices. In fact, it'll even run in software. If you have the Amazon app on your phone, on your iPhone or your Android device, it runs on that. But it's a way for me to communicate with the technology in my life. Now, I remember sitting around a table when we launched this in June, July 2015. We launched what's called Alexa Skills, or the ability for anyone to teach Alexa how to have a conversation about something. And we're now over 30,000 of these skills. I mean, the growth across numerous brands and numerous categories has just been staggering. And some of you may have used these. I know in my own house, I use things like Cap 1 to pull up balances. We play Jeopardy with Echo buttons as something to do when we have, when we're hosting and we have family over. So it's just the amount of growth has been really incredible, and it's amazing to see. And so when we talk about conversational experience, what does that mean? Some of you who have Echoes you have a conversation daily. Where's all that magic happening? Where does Alexa sit? And so if I ask a request when I say Alexa, you can see me over here on the left, so maybe I'm sitting in my kitchen. We're going to have some wake word detection, so Alexa's going to hear my voice. And then that voice is streamed into Amazon's cloud. And this is where we do some things that you may hear terms like ASR, where we're doing automated speech recognition. We're doing NLU, the ability to understand what's the context of what Dave is talking about. And then you can build your own service. So this is just a RESTful service. You can use any programming language. And in fact, with Alexa for Business, you can have your own private skills within your company. So everybody remember the intranet days when the web was all the rage, and suddenly you could have all internal things, maybe the cafeteria menu or something like that. So all this is happening over SSL. I have the ability to go ahead and send back that information, and then text-to-speech comes through of what you want Alexa to say. So a human voice is never heard by you when you're building these skills. Alexa is handling all of that in real time in the cloud. Now, if you've never used NLU before, where you're going to spend most of your time is not on the technology. It's actually in the conversation. And what I tell people is the first time you write a conversational experience, it's like asking your dev team to create a PowerPoint, right? It's right brain, left brain. It's not engineering. It's human to human. It's actually understanding when I talk, how much is too much. How verbose should I be? How do I really understand the person that I'm talking to? So if I said, let me give you an example here. If I said, Alexa, 4 miles. Now, as a human being, we're going to understand context. But for a machine, did I want 4 miles? Maybe I'm going to go ahead 4 miles. Or maybe it's the end of the night. I've had a really long day. And I'm asking for some Miles Davis. Right? Now, you may all know that if you know anything about me. Maybe I want to listen to that. And you'd be like, yeah, of course Dave's listening to that. And the expectation now is that Alexa would know that about me. And all of the AIs in our life, that as they understand context and history, that should be something that's offered. But maybe it was my kids doing their homework, and they were asking how to form aisles. Right? So I have information about volcanic eruption and the forming of islands. Or maybe I'm looking for my isles, Obviously, this is not something I own, but, maybe I'm playing a game. My kids play Fortnite and other things. Maybe I'm looking for my isles out there. And what you see at the top, everybody see that with the little special characters? That's phone names. That's phonetics. Every language has this. In the English language, there's over 30 phone names. You say tomato, I say tomato. And this was something that was very, very hard from a computer science problem for years. And that's what's changed. That's what has enabled us to have conversations with machines. And so some of the things that we've learned from all of you as Amazon customers doing reviews on the Alexa skills, doing reviews for your Echo devices, is there's themes that you need to think about when you leave here and you start having conversations of, what do I need to do in my business to make technology more conversational for my employees? You need to think about clear purpose, right? Don't make it one end-all thing. You should have one conversation about a specific topic, much the way that you do in any normal day. I should be able to evolve a conversation over time. So if we meet later and I introduce myself to you, that's awkward, right? Because we already met. We already had a conversation about this. It evolves. There's history. There's context. It needs to speak naturally to you. So you need to be able to speak naturally to Alexa. So no tongue twisters, not trying to create anything that feels like a search engine, but being able to be natural and spontaneous. And then Alexa should understand most requests. It's not OK to kind of have a catch-all 404, much in the way that we've done in these visual interfaces in the past. I need to be able to understand that context. So where do you start? I want to give you an example, just a quick example today, of start crawling. You don't need to be the best skill out there or the best conversational experience. Let's say we're all commuting to work tomorrow. Where I might start is I just get an estimated amount of time that I'm going to go ahead and get to work. So it would be, Alexa, show me my commute. And then you're going to look at the feedback, and believe me, people are going to tell you on feedback. And if you're doing private skills with Alexa for Business, you'll hear from employees. If you do public skills, you'll hear from Amazon customers. And then, one day, I go ahead and I add information in, and now I get information on traffic. Here's the magic of that. Alexa skills are discovered like a mobile app store, but they're deployed like the web. Every single person is using the latest version that you've put out there. And so your conversation can evolve over time. It's always the latest and greatest one. And one day, some of you may use skills that all of a sudden one day it could do more. And then in the future, I want you to all to think about running, right? And so an example of this would be, I'm making my coffee in the morning. I walk in my kitchen. I say, Alexa, put on the lights, start the coffee maker. And she goes, Dave, you better stop that coffee right now. You've got a really bad commute today. She's learned about what I'm doing, and she has the ability to send me notifications. So start thinking about that. Crawl, walk, and run. It's a very good approach to conversational UI. So with that, I'd like to bring up Collin Davis, and we're going to dive into some of the Alexa for Business offerings for you. Collin?
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Wow. It's my first time at Enterprise Connect. Really excited to be here. What a fun space, and I'm really excited to tell you guys a little bit about what we're doing with Alexa for Business. I want to start with a little bit of history. Alexa for Business got started actually in a conference room. A number of colleagues and I were sitting around a conference room table, and a colleague had pulled out his phone, and we were trying to join a meeting on an in-room system. And he pulls up his calendar, finds the meeting that we're in, and starts to transpose the meeting on the 4-inch screen to the touch panel on the table. And he fat-fingered it a couple times and reversed the order. And it was particularly acute to us because we had been using Chime, and we'd become so accustomed to meetings calling us at the start of the meeting. And someone had joked in the room, Alexa, start the meeting. And we looked at each other and laughed, but then we realized that's a really good idea, and we should go build it. So we did. We built a prototype, and we hooked it up to one of our existing AV systems on campus with a dot, and we were able to walk into the room and say, Alexa, start the meeting. And we realized it was a really powerful experience to be able to walk into a room and just have the meeting start, regardless of what hardware was in that room. And so we decided to turn it into a product. But of course, we knew that administrators, IT and facilities administrators would need more tools to be able to really use Alexa across an entire organization. For those of you that have Alexa at home, you're familiar with the Alexa mobile app. You know that it works really well for managing a handful of devices around your house. But for an administrator running a business, managing and controlling and deploying hundreds or even thousands of Echoes across an organization required more capabilities. And that's where AWS came in. We used our expertise in helping customers deploy, build, and manage cloud workloads to be able to do the same thing with Alexa, which is actually really another cloud workload. And of course, throughout this process, we realized that Alexa was quickly going to be able to do so much more than just start meetings. Gartner identified conversational platforms as a huge technology disruptor in 2018, and we certainly already started to see that in the consumer world. We see consumers talk to their banks. We see them get recipes from Alexa. When their recipe doesn't work out the way they hoped, or as is the case in my house, the 4-year-old won't eat it, you can order pizza with Alexa. And at work, we're starting to see the same thing. What we're finding is a really interesting shift is happening, where voice is offering up almost another dimension of multitasking, where workers sitting at their desk can use Alexa, almost a vocal multitasker, to be able to get information quickly without losing focus. You could be working on a report and you need to know how many deals closed last quarter, and without having to reach into your pocket or find an app or switch websites, you can just get the information that you need. Or maybe a thought occurs to you that is entirely unrelated to the report that you're working on, and you just want to take note of it. Asking Alexa to take a note is a very powerful way to just quickly take note of that. You won't forget it, and you don't lose as much focus on the task that you have at hand. A lot of this, of course, is made by the Alexa skills that David made mention of. Alexa is always getting smarter. The public skills store for consumers have over 30,000 skills. And we're starting to see a growing community of skill developers build skills specifically for the workplace. ISVs are voice enabling their existing applications, and developers are building entirely new experiences based on the Alexa Skills Kit targeted at business professionals. But with Alexa for Business, we have another new exciting way for companies to be able to make Alexa smarter, and that's our private skills distribution mode. The neat thing about this is customers can build skills exactly the same way that you would build a public skill using the Alexa Skills Kit and the tools available there. But instead of publishing it to the skill store, which would make the skill available to the world, they can publish it only to their organization. And they can publish it to their employees or turn it on in a specific room or type of room within their facilities. And this is actually proving to be one of the most popular use cases with Alexa for Business with companies today. We're seeing some companies deploying them to factory floors and warehouses where a customer wants to provide hand-free interaction and the ability for a warehouse worker to move a process down a line in a tool that they use without having to put down whatever it is they're using, pull out a keyboard and mouse or touchpad. And we've also seen businesses use Alexa private skills to be able to answer really basic questions like, Alexa, what's the guest Wi-Fi password? Kind of the never-ending question. We've had some customers build private flash briefings. So for those of you that use Alexa or Alexa at home, you know flash briefings let you pick what news source you want, and they enable you to get your news every morning from your favorite news sources. Some customers have built flash briefings, enabled them for their employees so that they can provide announcements and company updates in the feed of their employees as they're getting the rest of their news and weather on any given day. And private skills work exactly the same way as a normal skill. All of the NLU processing and skill handling that Dave talked about applies in a private skill. Companies can choose to host their skill within their AWS account in Lambda, our serverless development platform, or they can host those skills on-prem. And then those skills turn around and access whatever internal system a company wants to voice enable. If they're using Lambda, they have control down to the network level over which resources internally that skill has access to, and they're able to build cool things like tell the help desk the projector is not working. This is an example that a customer actually built. We've all been in the conference room where there's that 8.5 by 11 printout that says if there's an issue with this room, report it to this phone number or send an email. Nobody does it. The companies that we've talked to, the IT departments wish that they knew about issues faster so they could go fix them. And this is just another example of how voice is providing a new way for us to interact with digital services in the workplace so that businesses can be run more efficiently. I'll show you a demo of a private skill that our Amazon Connect team built. Amazon Connect, for many of you know, is our AWS contact center service that's built largely on the same technology that Amazon.com retail uses to support 70,000 customer service representatives. They built a skill that makes it easier for agents and their customers to stay in touch. Let's imagine for a second that I worked at a company where Amazon Connect was providing the contact center for my internal help desk, and I'm at work, I'm at home, and I've locked myself out of my account. My password's expired, or I've locked myself out, and I'm kind of stuck. I can call a coworker or drive to work to figure out how to get the phone number for help desk, but I can't log into my computer, so I can't find that phone number. Or I could use the Connect skill. Alexa, tell the help center to give me a call.
Sure. What can I tell them you need help with?
I'm locked out of my account.
Okay, I'll connect you right away.
So that's my cell phone.
Collin, this is the help center calling about your password problem. I'll connect you to an agent that can help you.
So what you just saw there was the Echo communicating with the Amazon Connect skill via Alexa, and then talking to the Amazon Connect APIs to find an agent and report back or connect me with that agent and then call my phone so that I can get connected with them who can help me with my password. And it's just another example of how voice simplifies the kind of task that could create a headache, short-term small headache, but voice makes that a complete non-issue. And we're really excited to see what else comes out of being able to use voice in the workplace. If it's something that you're interested in and you'd like to get involved in building skills, I'd like to point you at a couple resources. One, of course, is the Alexa Skills Kit in the consumer space. And that's how consumer developers have built skills. They're great SDKs and great ways to get started. We've also posted a GitHub repository with samples for skills for Alexa for Business. And there's a couple samples in there. You're going to see more get posted there over time. The Lambda serverless repository is actually another great way for developers to be able to share and use each other's code. So if you have cool ideas and you want to build some skills, this is a great place for you to be able to post them and contribute back to this trend that we're seeing with voice in the workplace. But let's go back to the meeting room. We started this process because of what we learned in the meeting room and what we observed with meeting rooms being just too hard to use. You heard Eric this morning talk about it. It's not a surprise. We all know that meeting room equipment can be hard. And as companies grow and they buy new equipment, and that equipment is better, but it's only in one room. And then when you go back to the other room, you have to relearn the old way. And it's really easy to get confused and lose time trying to start meetings. And the result is that they just don't get used. When we talk to customers, they tell us that they're not getting the return out of the big investments that they've put into their conference rooms. We set out to solve that by building the Smart Conferencing API. This API works a lot like the Smart Home API. Many of you are already familiar with that, where you walk into a room and you ask Alexa to turn on the lights. You don't need to think about, is this a Philips light bulb? Is this a Belkin light bulb? The lights just come on. With the Smart Conferencing API, Crestron and Polycom have built implementations. We built an implementation on top of Cisco's APIs so that when someone walks into the room and says, start the meeting, they don't need to know what kind of meeting room equipment is in that room. It just starts. And it can connect to any different conference provider as long as there's a dial-in. The way that it works is when you say start the meeting, we'll first look up from the calendar what meeting is supposed to take place in that room, and then make the appropriate API calls to create that experience. And of course, in smaller rooms, lots of customers have what they call huddle rooms, where Alexa can act as a speakerphone. There may not be an in-room AV system. There may not be a TV or a camera with a screen, but Alexa can still dial in, automatically connecting people in that room to that call, so just by asking with exactly the same flow. Let's see a demo. Alexa, start the meeting.
Sorry, I can't resume. Let me know what you'd like to play.
The audio echo cancellation algorithm for Keynote mode is still below the cut, and customers don't ask for that very often, so I'm going to try one more time. Alexa, start the meeting.
Do you want to join the Meeting Enterprise Connect chat with David?
Yes.
Okay, joining your meeting.
Chime. Please enter your meeting PIN followed by the pound key.
Hey, there he is. Hey, David.
I'm not used to you dialing in that fast, Collin. That was too fast for me.
Yeah, I know. I'm on time this time. I'm using this Echo on the table connected to a Polycom Trio phone where it's controlling the Trio with its APIs. All I have to say is, Alexa, start the meeting, and it joins. So you don't get to give me a hard time about being late for meetings anymore.
I apologize for the black hair and the suit and the dark. I look like this crazy face that's just sitting here in the dark. It's interesting. Like Alexa and Chime and the ability to do that. I'm just thinking about how I'm going to go and tell people about that. And this morning I was having breakfast, and I had someone come up to me and talk about Chime usage. Like, we have a new plan coming next month, and I'm sorry if this sounds like a promote. This is just like something that got me excited because I love usage and not any other kind of based pricing.
We can have the shameless plug every once in a while. It's okay. Yeah. So Chime did announce that they're going to per day pricing, which is a really compelling pricing model for customers. Imagine that's going to save customers a lot of money, and it really makes sense. It's the AWS way. We like to charge customers for what they use, nothing more, and without any upfront commitments. So we're really excited about that. But I just wanted to thank you for helping out this morning with the keynote. I hope you get to relax for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, I think I may have to put our dinner on hold. I just got an email. I've got to pull a whole bunch of call center data now. Lucky me. I don't know how long that's going to take, so maybe a rain check?
Well, I might be able to help you with that. I was just talking to the Connect guys, and they've built a skill that lets you get information from Alexa about the contact center. So let's see what we can do. Alexa, ask the contact center for status.
The contact center is performing well. The average service level across all of your queues is 88%. That's 5% better than the same time last week.
That help you out?
You're a lifesaver. Dinner's on me.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Alexa, hang up.
Okay.
So what you just saw there was Echo acting as a controller for an in-room AV system. In this case, it was a Polycom, and we have a little webcam here. But you also saw an example of where we're starting to see Alexa become an assistant in meetings that goes much further than just starting and stopping meetings. Turns out people actually use their meeting rooms to meet with each other in person as well. And Alexa can be useful even in those meetings where she can provide information in context, in discussion, to be able to help workers quickly get the things that they need. We've even had customers use the timer capability within meetings to be able to set a timer and keep a meeting on track. Pretty soon in that code repository I mentioned, you're going to see an action item skill get published that where Alexa can track action items and email them to all the attendees. Team has been a partner from very early on with Alexa for Business, and they've built a number of capabilities that let you use Alexa to manage meeting rooms. We've all been in that place where we forgot to book a room, and we run into a room, we sit down, we think it's empty, then we get kicked out 5 minutes later. With Team Skill, you can walk in and ask Alexa, is this room free? If it is, you get it booked. If not, you get a tip of where else to go. You can extend meetings when they're going over as well. Just more examples of how Alexa can be helpful in meetings in ways that go much, much further than just controlling meeting room equipment. We haven't touched a lot on Alexa voice services, but many of you already know it because you've seen Alexa in Sonos speakers, you've seen it in Ecobee thermostats and in cars. And we're just starting to see Alexa become embedded into hardware that is targeted at the business. You saw a demo with Echo controlling the Polycom Trio on the table here, but we were really excited to see Polycom talk about in their press release yesterday our continued collaboration that now involves including Alexa built into their Trio line of hardware. And this is just one example of a type of integration that we're really excited to see because it represents a way for customers to get Alexa in their conference room without having to add additional hardware to their existing systems. They can just add Alexa, or when they buy a new Trio, it comes with Alexa and they have everything they need, including the ability to use the same private skills that are available on the Echoes that you see on this table. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about our Amazon Web Services Partner Network. Consulting partners and technology partners play a big part in our customers' management and deployment of conference rooms and telephony equipment. Many of you in the audience are part of this space. You help customers with these things. And there are opportunities to get involved and to get ahead of being part of this transformation where voice is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the way we work with digital services at work. Technology partners have opportunities to help customers build private skills, consulting partners with deploying, managing, and installing this equipment. And we think that there are lots of opportunities on that front, in addition to for skill developers who want to build skills and hardware manufacturers who are making hardware targeted at the business. And that's really it. I think we're really, really excited to share this information with you, talk about Alexa for Business. It really, truly is day one for us. We're just getting started, and we're seeing lots of cool things, but there's lots of reasons to be excited. And thank you for your time.